Yeah, actually, the wildlife biology not even to only for animals. Both the plants and animals, when combined to healthy movement called as a wildlife biology. Because without plants or forest, no one animal to can survive. Okay, the plants, bryophyte, pteridophyte, gymnosperm, angiosperm, then streams, then lakes, then rivers. All of you have a life forms. After that, the invertebrates, vertebrates, that ants, then millipede, centipede, then molluscan. After that, the elephant, tiger, panther. Then next animals are involving and the habitat also very good. So when healthy to a very good forest, all of the animals also very healthy. This is for a basic concept. Okay, now we are going to the discuss about the animal behavior. Okay, the word ethology called as it's derived from two Greek words. One etho means cultural and logos means study. So behavior can be defined as observable activities and animal performance in responses to the various stimuli in order to survive and reproduce. A behavioral act is a response to a stimulus, which is the basic and universal concept of behavior. A stimulus is always a change in the internal or external environment of organisms. A stimulus may be in the form of signs, symbols, or releases. Signs can be visual, chemicals, or other types of sensory models. Okay, a realized stimulus releases certain programmed stereotype activities or fixed action pattern of behavior. A stimulus selects a response which is an attempt to adapt. This behavior is generally stimulus response oriented. The behavior of an organism is essentially an expression of the capability of its nervous system. While the environment determines the nature of the stimulus, the response involves the body, especially the nervous system of the organism, which is genetically determined. Okay, next one, the aims and pathology. First one, you understand behavior two. The cause behavior, the psychological mechanism that generates the action to and how behavior develops, to study the evolutionary history of behavior. Next, to analyze the potential of nervous system, to study the range of behavior prevalent in the animal kingdom, starting from the innate learned behavior from fighting to cooperating, etc. For the management of game animals, the farmers must be aware of habitats of his animals to get maximum. The cattle breeding, piggery, fishery, sericulture, etc. have been developed as industries to the end. Only after animals. Knowledge of behavior animals like rodents, insects, etc. The damage the crop has helped in effective pest control. Man may want to keep pests and for healthy pest management. It is essential to understand behavior. The information and insight of gathered animal behavior can be used to understand the behavioral study animal conservation by understanding the nesting and terrestrial habits of the birds and help creative or the habitat required by them. It can also help to increase the number of endangered and threatened animals. This is for the pioneer of the study of animal behavior. The scientists first one the Darwin, Johann Mendel, Ivan Paul Gonatz, then Nico Tibergen, the Calder Bernard, Edward Dahlmann, then Peter Muller, Karl von French. Okay, next the scientists what are they describe the ethology of the animal behavior. The history of ethology is so mankind because human beings were hunter gatherers. It was thus mandated for them to be careful students of animals' behavior, and in fact reveled in the painting on the walls of excavated caves for the prehistoric times. The great Greek philosopher Aristotle at 372 BC, who for the first time wrote excellent description of animal behavior of his book. Historica Animalium, meaning the history of animals. He keenly recorded the various behaviors of animals. However, the conclusions he drew for him observations were incorrect. He started that red start changed into robins in winter because of the close similarities between the two types. In fact, of red-start birds migrated during the winter. Next one, another keen observer of animal behavior was William Harvey, a 17th century scientist who studied the breeding, nesting, and incubation behavior of many birds. Then Gilbert White at 1792-1793. A victor of in England made meticulous observations of behavioral aspect of man and animals, especially the swallows. Like Aristotle, he has unable to interpret his finding by using a scientific approach. He believed that swallows buried themselves into the muddy bottom during the winter. He arrived at this conclusion as the swallows agreed into the reef beds before they migrate during the night. It was Charles Darwin, 18th century, 1809 to 1889, who is regarded as the first one to make a scientific study of animal behavior in his book, The Expression of Emotions in Man and Animals. This book gave tales of animal behavior, and it is till date considered as a classic book. He started that the phylogenesis of behavioral development were subjected to the same laws of natural selection which govern the morphological development of organisms. After Darwin theory of natural selection was started, it gave a new impetus and a new direction to the study of an animal behavior. The application of laws natural selection to ethology gave a new perspective to the better understanding of animal behavior. After Darwin's death, his students John Romances wrote an excellent book on animal intelligence. Early work on the ethology was based on the observations of pets, domestic and farm animals. Fundamental change in the approaches of studying behavior in the wild came with works of German zoologist Oscar Heinrich, 1871 to 1945, who devoted his life studying waterfowls. He enumerated his observations in the book of Ethology of Antididae. Ethology reached its peak of popularity in the works of the great ethologist Karl von French from German scientist, then Gunnar Lawrence, an animal psychologist in Vienna, Austria, and Nico Tibergen, a zoologist in Poland. These three shared a Nobel Prize in 1972 to 73 for their remarkable contributions in the field of animal behavior. There are also created for introduction an absolutely new branch of science to zoology and making it popular among common peoples. Prior to Fisher, Gonard, and Timbergen, Paul 1849 to 1936, a Russian psychologist received worldwide acclamation for his work condition reflect observations in the psychological studies of learning. Then Karl von French, 1886 to 1982, a German scientist, disclosed his famous studies on communication in honeybees. He describes the bee dance used by foraging bees to communicating the distance, location, and the nature of food resource. Gonard or Lawrence 933, founding the father of ethology, developed a theory on animal behavior, which stressed its inherited aspects, their relative fixity. He formulated imprinting behavior and Gosling, his book The King Solomon Ring and Man Meets a Dog, demonstrate his deep understanding of animal behavior. Next one, the Nico Tybergen, 1904, a Dutch ethologist, a co-founder of modern ethology, along with the Lawrence is famous for his work on the instinctive behavior. He won the courtesy behavior in stickleback fish, food behavior in chicks of seagulls, nesting behavior of tiger wasps. Next one, Skinner. The Skinner mostly effective psychological theories on respective to the education department, the movement and the energetic and the enthusiastic, how to the students will be observed in the classrooms and the students' aptitude. So more than books are writer, but at the same time, he relevant to the animal behavior part of the education department books he published. A American psychologist did extensive work on learning by reward on reinforced learning in the caged rats. This led by formation of psychology. Next one, behavior. What animal does and how an animal does it. Think of all of your behaviors, your pet, our friends' pet, list them and classify them, the each being genetically. And you know, students and two types behavior sense. First one, innate and learned. Okay, innate behavior and learned. At the same time, the students, because the school students are so, you know, the two characters, nurture and nature. Okay, the nature character students also will be started. The nature character people also every day preparing some works, daily routine following works are continue, and the next day he will be developed day by day notebooks or someone. But nurture people entirely different. The peoples are tell about the gifted peoples, gifted child, gifted students, because the peoples have mind entirely different and think about very difficult. At the same time, he not easy at the home for parents at the near by any thinking, because that type of people's creative more than creative ideas. Okay. Okay, next one. What is evolutionary fitness? Evolutionary fitness measures how many viable fertile offspring an individual lives in the next and subsequent generations relative to in the other in a population. Okay, next one, adaptive behavior. In adaptive behavior increases individual evolutionary fitness relative to in other individuals in the population. Then next one, the proximate questions about behavior. Actually, the question for how does an animal carry out a particular behavior? Okay, ultimate question about why does the animal shows this behavior? the Nico Tibergen suggested four questions that must be answered fully understand any behavior. These questions are either ultimate questions. First one will be take one egg. He painted some color of painted. You know the broiler chicken have a white color, but at the same time duck and other any wild hen, wild chick or embryo color lightly varies. But when the wild animals egg we are capturing and taken to the culture to native breed for chick or any one birds, is not to accepted. Okay, because the animals have a size and smell and color variation. The chemical compound is entirely different because you know that a very big forest. I think one example for the Western Ghats or any one Nilgiri biosphere for the biggest forest. You know that the animals can understanding to moving a segment to segment because the bird is undertaking to the deer is undertaking to the wild animal nearby any areas when the animals the Mudumalai and other Karnataka border slightly the forest nearby areas around 10 meters totally the grasses will be bushes and be totally clear because on the road the forest included any road the animals have any damage with the long side no one animals with accident for the any vehicle. At the same time, you know that very well. At night, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, most of the deers come friend of the nearby road because when the light source, the vehicle light source attached in the forest nearby area, wild animals include leopard or cat, wild cat or any tiger. This type of animals don't kill the deers. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Next class we are going to the evolutionary behavior and core subject to the animal behavior also. Any more doubt?
Sir, I have one question, sir. Will
Yeah,
you be
please.
able to explain the last concept just once again, where you
Yes.
mentioned that carnivore big cats won't eat deer?
Big cat. No, sorry. Big cat not here to deer. Tiger, leopard, panther only eat to the deer. Akhil, are you there?
No, I actually did not understand. Can you just explain
No,
that
no, no.
last
I
one
tell
minute
you.
of your?
Deer, no, deer, the spotted deer and sambar deer only either to tiger and panther and leopard, that type of animals. Not a big cat. Big cat, the actually wild cat is there, but when died animals, okay, after 2 or 3 days, decomposed, after that, the meat will be eaten. Okay.
Okay. So they will take some time before they eat,
Yeah, I
so
think
that it will be easy for them to.
what?
No, once the animal starts decomposing,
The
they
animals
can eat
like
the
the
animal
decomposing
better.
of 3 to 4 days. After the wildcat will be take the meat. Okay, not a live in position.
Okay. No problem.
Okay, thank
Thank
you,
you very much.
thank you. I send you the feedback form. Please, all of you, please send at the same time. Okay,
Okay, sir. Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.